Hey, it's Mark with Mark's House of Cars, and this is my 1988 and a half Lamborghini Countach. And it's crazy, but I've actually had this car 2 years now. It seems like I just got it, and it has been an absolutely amazing vehicle to own. I know a lot of people give this car a very hard time. You always see the "Don't Meet Your Hero" posts about this car. And I have to say, I absolutely love this car. It is my favorite car I have. I've got a Diablo, Aston Martin, Supras, Porsche, Esprit, and this car is my favorite to drive. And if I had to keep just one car, this would be it. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the myths and why people say don't meet your heroes and why they're wrong. Because after owning this car, it's just been really a dream come true in an absolute masterpiece of a vehicle. Now, the first thing that people always think about these cars, or they always say, is that they're uncomfortable. Now, I am 6'1", weigh about 240, and have size 14 shoes. I am not a small person. I fit in the Countach comfortably. I'm fine. Maybe if you had a longer torso or different body type, I don't know. But I know plenty of people who are about my height and fit in the Countach fine. If you're taller, it might be an issue. But a lot of people think you've got to be like 5'4" or something, and that's just not the case. The anniversaries, which are the 89s, maybe even a few in 90, are actually smaller inside because they had power seats. So they might be a little tighter. And then the low bodies, which are 82 and before, might be a little tighter too. But the 88 and a half, 87s, 86s, 85s kind of have the most room, the most horsepower, and I think are the best cars. I'm not a huge fan of kind of the ground effects there, but beggars can't be choosers when getting a Countach. You have to, you can't be too picky, that's for sure, because they only made 1,900 of these or so over 16 years, and there simply aren't that many of them. So, this car is probably the most comfortable I have. And the problem with a lot of people, I think, is that you'll get some influencers and people driving these cars, and they get them for like an hour or a half hour, and they cram in there and drive, and they don't realize the steering wheel adjusts. It goes up pretty high. My legs are not cramped at all, but I've seen other influencers with their legs crammed into their chest, and I'm just like, what is going on? Is your seat not all the way back? Is your steering wheel not up? Because if you take your time to adjust the seats and figure out where to sit, it's really not bad at all. And like I said, the seats are incredibly comfortable. I play a lot of golf. I've played sports all throughout when I was young, and my back, my knees aren't in the best shape. They feel great in this car. My other car, my Esprit, the Aston Martin, even the Supra kind of hurt my back more than this car does. So that is not an issue at all. The other issue you hear with the Countach is their visibility. Out the front and sides is fantastic. Out the back is awful. I will admit that it is not great. So it does make you a good driver, though. It makes you a really good driver, and it makes you always aware of your surroundings. You obviously have no desire to look at your phone whatsoever. And so that is kind of a positive. And once you figure that out, and you've driven the car for a while, and you know how to see your blind spots as best as you can, you know to anticipate where cars are going to be, it's really not an issue. The only time it's really an issue is if you're merging and you can't see everyone. But again, I can see good enough that I'm confident driving, and I don't think I'm going to run into somebody. So that hasn't been an awful issue. will notice I'm driving without shoes on, and that's because the pedals are really tight together. And yes, I wear a size 14 shoe, so if I had pure driving shoes, maybe it would work, but I'm fine just driving without my shoes on. The other thing you hear is that the clutch is incredibly stiff. There's no power steering. Those are also true, but they don't bother me, and maybe because I'm a bigger person, the only time the power steering matters is if you're parking or going really, really slow. And even then, it's fine for me. The clutch is tougher than most, but it doesn't bother me any. I know it does bother my wife, so it could bother some people, but it's really not a big deal to me. It makes me feel like I'm driving the car more, and the car is not driving me. So I am perfectly fine with it. The other issue, of course, you'll hear with these cars is that they're not reliable, they're always braking, they're always overheating. Now, the whole overheating thing, people keep telling me this because I posted some shorts to my TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and even here on YouTube. A lot of people think these cars are constantly overheating and have problems. I've talked to other owners, I've looked on forums, I don't find these issues. And I think what happens is people heard that the very first Countach, which was produced in 1974, was supposed to have a 5-liter V12. Well, Lamborghini came out with a prototype in 1971 that had a 5-liter V12. That motor they could not get to stop overheating. They didn't use that motor. They put a 4-liter V12 in it in the first cars in 1974 through 1982, I believe. So they did not use the overheating motor, but a lot of people just assume they did and hear that and think all these cars overheat. I've never had an issue, never had a problem. I was driving around today to my laundromat, all over the place. It was 80 to 90 degrees. Never an inkling of rise in temperature above normal for this car. Now, speaking of that, it does take 10 to 15 minutes to warm it up because it holds 18 and a half quarts of oil. That's probably one of the most annoying factors of this car is if you want to get in it, drive it, it's going to take some time. You can't just get in it and go grab some groceries unless you want to baby it all the way there. It takes some time to get that oil through the motor and all the cracks and crevices and get it warmed up. And how reliable has this car been? Well, I bought a good car. I bought it from Interstate Motor Cars in New Jersey. Really good car, well maintained, only had 22,000 kilometers on it. I do drive it. I don't drive it really far. I don't take it on massive road trips, but I drive it all the time. And I put new tires on it, had to get a new wheel, fixed a small part on the fuel injection when I first bought it. Besides that, I don't think we've done anything to the car. Now, it does leak a little bit of coolant. It's got a leak somewhere. I need to fix that. It's not enough to worry about. I make sure it's got enough. No problem with the clutch, motor, anything else. It has just been beautiful to drive. No issues, no problems. I should say that it had a small problem. Sorry, I'm lying. A couple weeks ago, one of the headlights started coming up and one did not. And so I drove it. I had my Fun Car Friday. Every Friday I try and drive one of my cars to work and do some videos and have some fun with it. And one of the headlights came up, one would not. And so I drove it to the gas station, got gas, it wouldn't start. I had to walk over to Christian Brothers Automotive, which was real close. They came over, started for me. It was really cool, those guys. Well, I drove it to the office, and I think I drove my Supra around doing different stuff, came back. It wouldn't start again on my way home. So I got it started with my portable jumper, drove it home. So I'm thinking, oh, there's an alternator. What's going on? Well, had it on my charger, drove it today. It was fine all day long. Drove to the laundromat and back, which is about 10, 15 miles away. Sat in my office for a while, in my office garage, had no issues, no problem whatsoever. So I think what happened was, I think when my headlights were on, or one was up and one was down, the headlight motor was just continuously trying to push that one down or up and killing the battery. But with my lights down, good, and there's no problem whatsoever there. Now, I did have this custom bumper put on the front. It had the American crazy giant plastic bumper when I first got it. It was pretty ridiculous looking. Some people actually like them. It wasn't awful, but I like this so much better. And a lot of people just put the anniversary bumper on, which is body color, or another color that's body color, another bumper that's body color. I wanted something different. So I got that to kind of do a throwback to the Periscopa versions, which had black kind of front bumper, and the Walter Wolf versions, which had black accents all over it. And one thing I love about this color, red, or even white, is it has the black gill, the black bumpers, the black vents. The contrast in colors look so cool with all the crazy shapes on this car. And a black Countach doesn't have it, and the Anniversary lost a lot of those contrasts. And that's another reason why I don't like the Anniversary. I mean, I would take one, but I much prefer this car to that. Now, while I have not had to do any expensive repairs or hardly any repairs at all on this car except for when I first bought it, and I knew I had to do those when I bought it, it can be very expensive to maintain if you have something go wrong like the clutch. You have to take the engine out, which is a $15,000 job in that range. And while you're taking it out, it's like, well, let's look at the exhaust, let's look at the engine, let's do all kinds of other stuff and make this car really good. So that can get really expensive. But honestly, as much as these cars are driven, that can be like a 10 to 15 year job when you do those. So it's not like you're doing it all the time and constantly. I do drive this car, like I said, but I have lots of other cars I drive as well, so I'm not putting a massive amount of miles on the vehicle. So like I said, I've owned this car 2 years. I paid $500,000 for it. I think it's worth $600,000 to $700,000 now. So it's been a good investment. It's been an amazing car. It's been a dream come true. And when they say don't meet your heroes, I could not disagree more with the people who say that, because I think they get this car for like half an hour, have no idea what they're doing, are massively intimidated, and come away scared. And it takes some time to get to know this car, right? The greatest things in life are acquired tastes. It takes some time to figure them out. And this is one of those things. A lot of people also talk about this car being slow, and by modern supercar standards, yes, it is slow, but so is every car from the 70s, 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. However, this car is fast, incredibly fast for the 80s. I have a blast driving it still. You can get sub 5 seconds 0 to 60 if you're willing to burn the tires a little bit, maybe risk that clutch some. It goes in the quarter mile in under 13. It has a top speed of 180 or so. It is a very fast car. And when you see these acceleration videos, a lot of people think, oh my god, it took forever. First gear goes to 60. So you see it taking forever to get through first gear. That's not because they're going up to 30, they're going to 60. And then, second gear goes to 90 or whatever it is. So in your Honda Civic or your short geared car, yeah, you're going to 35 in first, and second it's going to 60. It's a little different in this vehicle. It does not have that seat of the pants, throw you back in your seat like a turbo or short geared car, but it wants to go fast. It wants to go top speed. It is made for driving, that is for sure. Now the wing, not functional whatsoever. That is true. I still love it. I love this car, the angles, everything about it. Pictures, videos do not do it justice once you see it in person. There's a reason they call it a Countach, which roughly translates to holy SH. You get it. Because that's what you think when you see it in person. Like, how did they make this car? How do they make these angles work? Who came up with this? It's beautiful and crazy and outlandish all at the same time, all wrapped around a massive V12. And it's just, I feel so fortunate to be able to own one of these cars because I know not many people can do it. It's a dream come true. Should I have spent that much money on a car? Most people would say I'm crazy and no, but I'm okay with it. I'm glad I did it, and hopefully I can enjoy this car for many, many, many more years to come. And so when those people tell you don't meet your heroes, these are bad cars, they're not reliable, they're not comfortable, make sure you're talking to somebody who's owned the car and experienced it, not someone who got it for half an hour or worse, read an article from someone else who got it for half an hour and never got the chance to experience these cars and learn about them and figure out what they're all about. All right, that's all I've got. If you have questions, comments below, love to hear them. I'll try to answer as many as I can. And of course, we'll have more videos coming up of this car, of the Diablo, the Aston Martin, the Esprit, the 928, my Mustang, the Supras. Probably missed some there, but I love cars. I love driving them. I love talking about them, and I love answering questions about them too. Of course, check out Mark's House of Cars on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and real estate is how I was able to afford these. So if you want to learn the business side of things, I have laundromats. They're more of a hobby. They weren't what made me my money. Real estate was. Check out Investfourmore. Invest, F-O-U-R-M-O-R-E. Again, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. My blog, investfourmore.com, has tons of information, a free book on how I got started, and hopefully that can help some people achieve their dreams as well.